see. Hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let's see.
I can hear you. I just cannot see you.
Okay, let me give permissions. Okay, how about now?
Yes, I can see you. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Great. Thanks for asking. Thank you so much for accepting my interview. Again, it will be short, just more sales questions, get to know you better, and answer any questions you have, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Amazing. So, looking at your resume, can you walk me through your employments, at least the last three employment, and how did each one ended?
Yeah, definitely. So, I'll start with the current role I'm in is at InstaWork, which is still present. I know we talked a little bit early. That's the one that it's hybrid, just a little bit of a commute. I'm looking to make that transition to something, where there's more growth opportunity, where it just resonates a little bit more with myself, and then as well, like just looking, you know, for an opportunity where it can be a little bit more longer term, and just again, like I said, more growth. Prior to joining InstaWork, I actually started my own virtual hiring agency, myself and a few other founders. And pretty much I manage everything between lead generation, between content creation, handling traffic, full cycle, starting like the entire process, entire sales cycle from booking the calls, closing the calls, and then as well like facilitating the distribution of our service, the resume send out, resume creation, and also like prospecting in terms of C-level like partnership directors for other staffing companies. So it was almost like a headhunter role as well, where we were just bringing in other partnerships for companies that were hiring. And what ended
That
that
was
role?
self-employed, right?
Yep, correct. I mean, it was kind of under like the company of me and a few others who started it. So we automated it, just using AI, and built up a team to where I kind of got my time back. So I didn't have to invest it in that role. And then prior to that, I was with Decide, formerly Locker Dome, for close to 2 years. I started there. It was an AI ad tech machine learning type of software that I was selling. I started there as an SDR. After about a year or so, I got promoted to an account executive. And then as like I approached like the end of year two, like 1.5 to 2 years, it was in 2022, and they kind of had to do a downsize, so they cut like 35% of the company. And prior to that, I was in real estate sales. So that was my first
Awesome.
sales endeavor. I first year did about 2 million in closed volume as a new agent, and I was doing like 300 cold calls, like dials a day using a multi-line dialer, and that was full cycle as well. I would find the leads, generate them, whether it was expired listing for sale by owner, and from there set up that listing appointment. Then I would go in person, walk through our 151 step marketing plan, and close them in that role. And then, I mean, in between that and before that, like I've had other roles. I was at a call center via benefits insurance services, where I was taking maybe 150 inbound calls a day, and just kind of funneling, setting meetings and things of that nature.
Perfect. So, at your current position, can you walk me through your day to day?
Yeah, so day to day, in total, is about 100 outbound touches, 50 of those being like strategic, personalized emails. And then from those personalized emails, another 50 are outbound cold calls, where I'll pretty much be, reaching out, trying to set up that appointment, selling them on the meeting. Outside of that, it'll be joining any of the demos that I'm on, and then really just managing my pipeline, doing all my own lead gen for net new opportunities, vetting, sourcing, and enriching those leads with really good data, so that it can, be a very strategic sales process.
So, you were targeting business to business and just selling them a software to their business, right?
Correct. Business to business. I was targeting like C-suite, a mid-market, sometimes enterprise companies that have multi-locations, whether it's a 3PL or a warehouse. And from there, just setting up the meeting and looping in as many like COOs, chief operating officers, CFOs, VPs of HR, onto that call and like multi-threading them to increase the show rates for those demos.
I see. Okay, awesome. And you said the reason for you leaving because it's you're relocating and it's far, right?
Correct, yeah. I relocated already, so it's like an hour plus, like hour 10 there, and then another hour 10 back.
I see. And what motivated you to apply to us? BuyHere.com.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit on the call earlier
Mm-hmm.
of why it resonated with me growing up with poor eyesight. And until I was like 10, 11 years old, I always had either glasses or up until I was 5, it was really tough to actually see. So it's like I was missing out on one of my senses. And being that, here.com is revolutionizing the hearing aid and those type of solutions, I see how fast the healthcare field is growing and it's extremely established. So that's what attracted me to here.com.
Amazing. I don't want to call it like micromanagement, but let's say you had because you're gonna have a team lead. So
Mhm.
let's say that team lead, you're not doing very well. They sit one-on-one with you just to tell you, okay, let's try it this way. Maybe it's better. So how do you accept those feedback?
Yeah, so how I accept the feedback is just by like implementing and then reiterating. So, for example, if I receive some feedback, I would pretty much want to set up a game plan of like, hey, definitely let's try this, let's track it, let's see, how it works over the next week or next month. And then from there, like next time we meet, like let's reiterate and see, what worked good about it, maybe what we could improve on. And from there, I would just kind of take it from there.
Amazing. Tell me about a good sale you made where you went above and beyond.
Yeah, so I've got a crazy story. When I first started real estate, like the first big listing, I had sold $1 million home, and uh, it took about 6 months just because the first buyer we had under contract, 2 weeks before we were scheduled to close the deal and everything was, supposed to be done, we were notified that they never collected the earnest money deposit, which was supposed to be collected weeks ago. And at first, they didn't need to sell their home to buy our listing, but somehow the lender said now they didn't qualify. Then they end up finding mold in their home, and they just started arguing. And eventually, from the stress, like the buyer ended up in the hospital, which was crazy. And then having my seller kind of hear that, and what I did to save the sale is I called every single buyer, every single person who had came and already seen the listing, and from there I actually showed physically in person the home to each one, and within 24 hours we had a new buyer under contract and we got the deal done. But just having to go through that process was definitely wild, and it was a good experience though to see how to save a sale.
Awesome. We all have good days and bad days. So I know on the phone earlier today, I told you it's going to be a high call volume. I don't know if I consider it as high because it's like 60% call time a day and it's all warm leads, so it's very easy. So let's say you kept on calling people and the only thing you're getting is a no answer. So how do you motivate yourself to make the next sale after getting rejected so many times?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a numbers game. Like I've said, with real estate, I've made 300 dials a day using a multi-line dialer. And even nowadays, it's like unless you're catching someone on a mobile phone, and I even use like double dial in case they have on the do not disturb, but it's just part of the game. You only need, a couple good people to talk to where you can have a good conversation and get that yes that you're looking for.
Awesome. And what would you say to a client that only wants to know the price of the product? Just tell me how much is it? How much does it cost?
Yeah, so typically what I say when I'm asked about prices, I just say, yeah, definitely. I'd love to dive a little bit deeper, and I'd hate to misquote you in regards to the price. That's actually why I was calling, just to set up, a quick 15 to 20-minute meeting with my partnerships manager. That way we can understand, and then whatever the granular details. So if it's something with the volume where it makes a difference in the markup, I'll just let them know, like, depending on what your volume is, depending on when you're looking to get started, those things will affect the price. So, I've got time, 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. What works better for you?
Awesome. And what aspect of working in sales do you least enjoy?
The aspect that I would say I least enjoy would probably be more so on like the account management side. which some roles, like the full cycle ones, where you're the closer, you're the setter, and then you're also the account manager. I dislike that part of the sales cycle a little bit more, just because I'm more of a hunter, more of a go-getter, and a closer, where I just like to focus on, like, let me set this person up, or let me solve that solution and that problem, and then once they're done, ready to close, everything signed, I prefer to pass it off to the next person. But
Yeah,
I've done
no, I
both.
was gonna talk to you about that because the position that you applied for, I believe you applied for the account executive. So I think this is they're not doing this anymore. They're just doing it for Denver and Miami. So it's just gonna be like in person, and I know you don't live there, so it's gonna be remote. Which is I do have another position available, which is of what you just mentioned. You don't have to go through the whole process. You don't have to follow up with them or anything. It's a sales rep position. That's what is it called. So the only thing you're gonna do, similar of what we spoke. You're gonna get a lot of calls. Just talk to the client, but it's a one phone call. You're interested. We have to convince them to be interested because you're going to get a lot of people, they're not interested, but they do need the product, and it's
Right.
very normal in sales, but especially in this kind of sale because it's very sensitive. So we have to talk about the benefits, build urgency, keep them on the phone, gain their trust so we can sell them. So once you sell them, that's it. You don't have to do the extra
Nice. I like that.
responsibilities. Yes, and that's how I see you like working. Like that's it. You just close one sale, go to the next one,
Yeah,
and so on.
exactly.
So for this one, it's going to be the same benefits, which is health insurance, dental vision, 401k, PTO, and vacation days. It's going to be the same training, which is 60 to 90 days training. It is $20 per hour, along with uncapped commission, similar commission, but it's uncapped, so there isn't any limit. So that would be like 50k plus uncapped commission. So the more you sell, the more you're going to be making money.
Nice. Yeah, that definitely would interest
Okay.
me.
Okay, awesome. So I'll move you up to this one. And then so the aspect you just said, like the account things. Tell me about a time or a stressful situation in your personal life affected your work performance.
Yeah, so definitely. I mean, just making the transition to where I'm at now, like in Arizona. I moved from Michigan across country. So me and then my fiance at the time, it was just a tough time because we both of our families live in Michigan. We've grown up there our entire lives, and just moving, we drove probably the first time we came down here. We drove just because we had so much stuff, and it was like a 30-hour drive. I still had work going on, and things of that nature to take care of. And it definitely made it tougher to, stay in my routine and affect my performance. But what I did to take action and change that situation was, once we did get down here, just finding different coffee shops, networking with other people, making some friends out here, so that I still had a place to go in times where I needed to just lock in for a few hours, get some work done. So I would say just using my network, creating a new network, and being very innovative in terms of the places I was looking to do that work at, helped out a lot making that transition in that journey.
Awesome. And what are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, so I like to create content, I like to work out, I like to read, and then spend time with my family as well.
Awesome. What's your career path?
Yeah, career path. I mean, long term, sales is my passion. I want to continue leveling up in the sales roles. So I'd be looking to be in an account executive position, maybe enterprise, or just an enterprise sales development position in the next, I'd say, 2 years or so.
Awesome. So what I'm gonna do right now, I will go ahead and share my screen to share with you two slides. The first slide would be some objection that you would be facing if you join the company. It's very normal in sales. You're gonna get
Mhm.
rejected, how to overcome those rejection.
Okay.
And then the second slide would be a role play that we're gonna conduct together.
Okay.
I'll be the customer, you're gonna be the sales consultant, you're gonna try to sell me the hearing aid device, okay?
Okay. Perfect.
So let me share my screen and show you this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So this is just like your schedule from 9 to 1. You're gonna get a lot of calls. You're just gonna do your call, And then from 1 to 10, you get lunch break. From 2 to 3, just check up on your notes, follow-ups, emails, and then you go back to your call blocks as well.
Okay.
So this is some objection that you would be facing. So once we conduct the role play, I will be asking you a couple questions on this slide to see what you picked up. So if you want to take notes, you can. You can do whatever you want. But you will be asked up on these ones just to see what you picked up, okay?
Okay.
So let's say you just got a lead, and the first thing you're gonna do is just introduce yourself, the reason of your call, and now it's time for you to close the sale. If someone says, you know what, I don't want this is not the right time for me. If we're gonna disconnect the call, we're not gonna make any sales or make any money. So our job is to keep them on the phone and educate them on the product. So hearing loss is progressive, it only gets worse over time. Hearing aids are the only proven way to slow down progression of hearing loss and stimulate brain activity. So in this section, you're just educating them on the product and letting them know that this is very important and this one is the better.
Okay.
Example number 2, if a customer mumble or are soft-spoken, a lot of time people are gonna say, oh, people mumble, I cannot hear them clearly. We have to make them feel comfortable. So no, this is our number 1 complaint we hear from our customers. Hearing aids are developed to focus on speech clarity. And then lastly, why would I choose this? Why would I choose Here.com? We have to start introducing our offers. Nothing to lose. We offer 45 days free trial with award-winning customer service support throughout the trial. We work with leading manufacturers to allow us to provide you the best recommendation, and I will be your personal consultant to guide you through the whole process.
Okay.
Okay? Awesome. So this is the role play. I will be the customer, you're gonna be the sales consultant, and I am ready when you are.
Sweet. Hey, hi, this is Sharif, calling from Here.com, the hearing aid company. Just wanted to reach out. I saw you inquired about some of our hearing aids. Before we get started, this call actually is being recorded for quality assurance purposes. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
So tell me, what's going on with your hearing?
So it's hard for me to hear others.
And how often is that happening?
Every while, it depends, especially when I'm out with my family, crowded place, at a restaurant.
When was the last time maybe you said that might happen?
Every while. It's very often.
Really? Okay, so I mean, what, like today, yesterday is just like a daily thing?
Yes.
And I mean, how are you looking to work around that? Like, what do you do to still be able to function?
So you're gonna follow the script along. So you're gonna just ask me questions along with this.
Okay,
can
so
you
like
walk me
word for
through
word?
the list? Oh, no. So what was your last question right here?
Yeah, my last question, I said, like, what do you typically do to still function?
Right now, trying out to see prices of hearing aid devices.
Okay. And I mean, I know you said, it happens a lot when you're out with your friends and your family or you're at restaurants. How do you feel this affects like your relationships with them?
It's just so hard for me to communicate or play with my grandkids every time they come over. So sometimes I just pass on and don't go out with them. But at the same time, I really want to go out and enjoy.
Yeah, I can understand. That's got to be tough. I appreciate you for sharing just what's going on with you and your hearing. That helps me understand your situation. So just to make sure I understood you, it happens all the time. I mean, you even today, yesterday, and when you're out with your family, your friends, at restaurants, getting food. I mean, even when you're just trying to chill and play with your grandkids, it seems like a struggle. Did I get everything right?
Yes, you did.
Is there anything else that you would maybe add to that I didn't touch on?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, typically what we do is just set up the next steps. We would send out devices 45 days free. And then from there, we will need to charge your card the full price after. Do we have permission to send those out and charge that $1,500 today?
So this is very sensitive. I would not provide my information. So if someone says that to you, especially when collecting a payment, how would you overcome this objection?
Yeah, definitely understood. In terms of sensitive and not providing your information, what would make you feel comfortable providing that info?
Okay, awesome. Cause think about it. So first they're gonna be providing you with a script. So if at first they want you to follow the script along, and then you can add your own, of course. It all depends on the conversation how it's going. But as far as following the script, I think during training you have to follow like word by word, and then you can add your own. But the
Okay.
main key here for you to be successful once you talk to a customer, similar to what you did, engaging in the conversation, your tone of voice should be great. You should they have to sense your energy, and then show empathy is very important. Okay.
Okay.
As far as collecting a payment, I mean, a lot of time people are very okay with it because they're familiar. If they want to purchase a device and it's very expensive, they have to
Right.
put at least a deposit. But other time, you're gonna get some people. Oh, I don't want to share my information. This is a scam. So we have to know how to approach those people.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on the slide that we went over, if someone says, "My hearing isn't it that bad? Yeah, I'm not sure if I need some hearing aid devices as of now," how would you respond to this?
Yeah, how would respond is, we actually have found that hearing does progressively get worse unless you do decide to make that change and take that leap now, getting a hearing aid. It actually helps improve like the brain activity and that function as well. So, down the line, you'll have better overall hearing. Is that something that you'd be open to?
Amazing. And if someone says, "I am very frustrated as I cannot understand due to lack of speech or clarity," can you help me out with this?
Yeah. You're saying like if they said like if they, oh, you said
Mumble.
during lack of speech. Oh yeah, if they mumble, then I would say pretty something similar along the lines of as well. Like we've seen with our hearing aids that a lot. It's helped a lot of our clients and customers be able to hear better. And again, that brain activity that the hearing aid kind of sends back and forth, it makes it so others around you aren't mumbling or stumbling, but you can hear them clearly. Is that what you'd be looking for?